In Isaiah 22, it talks about two people here, Shebna and Eliakim. And when we look at this prophecy, it talks about the key of the house of David, verse 22, will I lay upon his shoulder. So he shall open, and none shall shut, and he shall shut, and none shall open. And this is talking about Eliakim, but it is also speaking of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. This is talking about the end time. There's going to be an end time Eliakim, which is Jesus Christ. And you can read that in Revelation, the 3rd chapter, verse 7. There's going to be an end time Eliakim, and there's also going to be an end time Shebna. Now, who is Shebna? Shebna was a steward over the house. A steward is a person who rules in the name of the king. He is on the throne. He's got all the powers of the king and is ruling for the king. Now, the throne of David is also called the throne of the Lord. It's God's throne. And God put King David and his descendants as stewards on that throne, ruling on this earth for God. So Queen Elizabeth was right. She was divinely appointed by God. She rules on that throne. She rules on that throne. She is a daughter, a descendant of David. And this is the throne of the Lord. So this is a steward that's sitting on the throne of David, the throne of the Lord, who is called Shebna. And it is a man. And we have been saying for years now that before prophecy is to take place, Queen Elizabeth has to die, because this end time Shebna is a man. And here now we have King Charles III on the throne. And we are in the end time. We've proved it time and again from Daniel, the 11th chapter, verses 40 to 45. It says, at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him. That's the king of the north. And we've proved to you that that has been fulfilled in prophecy. We are at the time of the end. Queen Elizabeth is now gone. King Charles, a man, now rules the throne. This end time Shebna is a man. And it talks about Shebna and how God is going to take away his government and give it to Eliakim. In verse 21, I will clothe him with thy robe and strengthen him with thy girdle, and I will commit thy government into his hand, and he shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. So the throne is going to come back to Judah and Jerusalem. And then it says that I will fasten him as a nail in a sure place, and he shall be for a glorious throne to his father's house, talking about Jesus Christ of Nazareth, the end time Eliakim. So here we see a nail in a sure place. It's going to hold everything together, as it says here in the Jameson, Fawcett, and Brown commentary. It says, as when a peg is suddenly cut down, the ornaments on it fall with it. So the peg or the nail holds everything in place. And this is what Jesus Christ is going to do. The kingdom of God, as it says, the government will be on his shoulder. And he is going to rule and reign on this earth, because only God can rule this earth. Only God can do it. It's a burden for any man to rule just a country, for pity's sake, but to rule the entire world, only God can do it. And God says that he will be a nail in a sure place, and he shall be for a glorious throne to his father's house. And then it says, and they shall hang upon him all the glory of his father's house, the offspring and the issue, all the vessels in small quantity, from the vessels of cups even to all the vessels of flagons. Now we get down to verse 25. And all biblical commentaries will tell you that this goes back to Shebna. This goes back to Shebna. So this prophecy is talking about the overturning, the last overturn of the throne of David from Britain back to Jerusalem. In verse 25 it says this. In that day, and that phrase is always an indication of the end time. In that day, says the Eternal of hosts, shall the nail that is fastened in the sure place, this is talking about Shebna now, this is talking about the throne in Britain right now. The nail that is fastened in a sure place, and it has been for many, many decades. The Commonwealth has been held together by Queen Elizabeth. We've had peace and stability. We had our rough times, but overall we had peace, stability, freedoms throughout the Commonwealth, and she was that nail that held that commonwealth together. What holds the commonwealth together? That throne in Britain. And it was a nail in a sure place. But notice it says here, the nail that is fastened in the sure place be removed. The commonwealth is going to unravel. It's going to come apart. Under King Charles, we are going to see instability throughout the Commonwealth of Nations. More nations are going to leave until eventually the whole Commonwealth will be destroyed. And I'll show you that in a minute. It says, it shall be removed and be cut down and fall. So we should get ready for instability throughout the Commonwealth, more nations leaving the Commonwealth and picking their own heads of state. And what's that going to lead to? Because they're going to pick their own heads of state. The throne of Britain kept elections free and fair, equality, human rights. But now they're going to pick their own heads of state. They're going to be republics. Is this going to turn to some of these nations, are they going to turn into dictatorships? Well, look at Hong Kong and what's happening with Hong Kong and China after the British left Hong Kong. Look what's going on there and all the troubles that is happening in Hong Kong. And it's interesting how many of these people that lived in the British colonies, after the British removed themselves from the former British colonies, many of these subjects of the British Empire ended up moving into other British realms like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Yet these people on the left keep continually saying how bad the British Empire was. Yet we see former subjects of the British Empire moving to where the British still rule. Isn't that amazing? Unbelievable. So what's going to happen to these nations when they pull out of the Commonwealth? Are they going to turn into dictatorships? We're just going to have to wait and see. But when you look at biblical prophecies, it looks as though that is exactly what's going to happen. It'll cut down and fall, and the burden that was upon it shall be cut off. The burden of ruling the Commonwealth of Nations, that burden is going to be cut off. So the throne is not going to rule many of these Commonwealth of Nations. And here, Isaiah the 28th chapter, here it talks about Ephraim. Now, who is Ephraim? That is the British Commonwealth of Nations, the British people. And you can read that in our booklet, The United States and the British Commonwealth in Prophecy. And we also have separate articles on each tribes of the House of Israel on our website, britishisrael.ca. And I'll put the article on Ephraim in the description below, and you can read that for yourself. Isaiah 28 talks about verse 1. Woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim. Here it's talking about Britain and, of course, the throne of Britain. The drunkards of Ephraim, drunk with not just wine, but they are spiritually drunk. And, of course, they spiritually have lost their faith in Christianity, and they're going towards all these other different types of beliefs. And even, of course, many people in the Commonwealth of Nations are atheists, and they're spiritually drunk and have no direction and no guidance, but stumbling all over, stumbling in their lives, and as a nation as well. Just randomness and happenstance when you look at the Commonwealth of Nations, and just have no guidance, no purpose. It says, the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower. The Commonwealth is fading. Barbados just pulled out last year, and more countries are saying under King Charles they are going to pull out as well. So first it's a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys, talking about the countries of the Commonwealth, that are rich countries, of them that are overcome with wine. Behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, talking about a army that's going to come, two armies rather, the beast and Gog, that you read of in Ezekiel the 38th chapter. It says, the Lord hath a strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. So first it's a fading flower, but then eventually the Commonwealth will be overtaken by armies that you read in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, of Gog, of the land of Magog, that goes into the mountains of Israel, the Commonwealth of Nations of Israel, of Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the crown colonies of the British Empire, and will overtake them. And it talks about locusts devouring these nations, and it's saying the same thing here. Mighty waters overflowing shall cast down to the earth with hand. The crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, shall be trodden under foot. And you read in Isaiah, the 10th chapter, talking about Israel. Let me just go to it right quickly. Isaiah 10. Here it's talking about the Assyrian. 10 verse 5. O Assyrian. And who is the Assyrian? The Assyrian is end-time Germany that heads a 10-nation combine called the Beast. And this beast, O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, the staff in their hand is mine indignation, I will send him against an hypocritical nation, against the people of my wrath, to give him charge, to take the spoil, to take the prey, and to tread them down like mire in the streets. Same language as here in Isaiah, the 28th chapter. To tread them under foot, verse 3. So eventually the Commonwealth is going to fall. It's going to fade, and then it's going to fall by warfare. It says here, in that day shall the Eternal of hosts be for a crown of glory, and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people. Talking about Jesus Christ of Nazareth. End time Eliakim. So here we're seeing in this prophecy, Shebna over the Commonwealth, and it fades and unravels and is destroyed. Then in verse 5 it talks about end time Eliakim and his crown of glory, a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people. So a fourth overturn is going to happen. And during this overturning of the throne, the Commonwealth is going to fade, it's going to be destroyed, and it's going to be under King Charles III. Get these free booklets. The Pride of Our Power, the United States and Britain in Prophecy, and the Throne of Britain, the Throne of David in Prophecy. It's all free of charge off our website, britishisrael.ca. This is Peter Salemi saying goodbye, friends, and I'll see you here next time on the Watchman program.